Mary ran up to me as the houses gave way to trees. She thrust a small velvet bag into my hand. I almost forgot. That's yours too. It came from the bear's body. It felt like a bag of dirt and it stunk of ash, but parts of it were hot against my hand. Magic. I opened it in confusion and found one of the magically activated pieces of metal. It was gold. I spat on it and rubbed it clean. It really was gold. I've a bad feeling something evil has been done, and that bag of gold is the result, said Mary. Slow-witted in my surprise, I took the bag into a hidden pocket and thanked her. She curtsied and left me. So that's how your people trapped me. You knew gold could be magical as well as valuable. Take a good look at that filthy bag of riches, gabbler. That handful of bone and gold cost your sweet little sister her life. Knox, I whispered, it really is you, in my head. The one and only. Aren't I going to have fun with you? For a long time I walked in silence, sick and confused by all I'd seen and done. Several hours later I heard buzzing and looked around slowly, listening. Bees. Lots of bees. Honey. Finally, I found the source of the noise and I watched the bees until I was sure. My mouth watered. I found the hive and wrapped all my clothing around myself before breaking it open and stealing several large chunks of honeycomb. A few of the bees got me, but I didn't care. Once I was away from the hive, I scooped handfuls of honey into my mouth. Food I found on my own always tasted so good. I licked the dripping edge of the honeycomb one last time, then wrapped it tightly and put it in my bag for later. The trees whispered to one another, and I kept an eye on my surroundings. It wasn't the wood I feared, but the great one I'd only just left behind in Hollowvale. People were always more treacherous than the forest. There was something about Mr. Thwaites that felt wrong to me in a way that was more subtle than Knox's straightforward hate. Something in me said that the worst was yet to come, and Mr. Thwaites was more than he seemed. However, when I thought about it, I had to admit that the forest had a few traps and tricks laid out as well. It was going to be a long walk. Everything was so familiar: dirt, branches, hunger, blood, pain, and the heaviness of Knox weighing on me. At the same time, everything was different. I gathered my courage and addressed a voice in my head. Knox, did you kill my mother? Is that why you came after me? She lives. I realized she'd never try to eat my soul, so I came to you. I didn't trust Nox, but I felt like our souls were too tangled to let us lie to one another. My mother lived. Decision made, I walked downhill until I was too tired to go on. Then I laid out my spare clothes as a comfortable mattress under a tree. I slept badly, dreaming of hunting boar and of boar hunting me, dreaming of killing a boar and tearing at its flesh with my teeth. I woke up with a bad taste in my mouth and granted myself a little water to bring the waking world back to me. It was strange sleeping without the looming threat of Nox to listen out for. I vowed to sleep in a tree next time, or at least with a barricade between my sleeping self and the rest of the forest. It was true that I'd killed a bear, but I could still be in danger from other predators. I smiled, enjoying how difficult it was to make myself feel afraid. After my nap, I set off cheerfully and was even more cheerful when I discovered that a flurry of spring storms had fed the dry ravine that was the simplest path home. The downside was that other travellers were sure to take the same route now that it contained water. The sweet trickle of water, keeping me clean and cheerful, had carved a deep trench in the land over hundreds of spring seasons, and it wouldn't be easy for me to get out. I chewed on dandelion leaves and considered my options. If I kept going, the high cliffs would eventually be lower and I could leave the valley. Don't go that way. Climb the rocks now, before someone finds you. Oh good, now the bear in my head was giving orders. I took a long drink before checking all of my wounds, marveling at my magic augmented recovery. The sky was beginning to change colour by the time I was finished. I picked some clover and the herb lamb's quarter from the rocks and ate them mixed with the remaining honey. I could fish, of course, but catching anything would likely take all night. From above, I'd have more options. The cliffs on either side were quite symmetrical, so there was little advantage in picking one over the other. Climb the southern cliff. Didn't I tell you to shut up? I muttered. Suit yourself, I thought you were hungry. What does that have to do with picking one cliff over another? I asked. I smell a carcass to the south. Do you want it or not? My stomach growled and I felt certain Nox was silently laughing at me. I checked the area for scat and found none, reassuring me that I hadn't chosen a place that was likely to get an animal visitor in the night. After that, I chose a spot as far from the water as possible, so it didn't drown out any sounds that might indicate danger.